Thanks for that introduction, Steve, and thanks for having me here today. So the idea is that I'm going to build a little bit on what Andrew is talking about in broad strokes. Basically, what is the DP World strategy, and how does digital fit into that strategy, and actually becoming more and more a prominent part of it. So if we just move to the first slide, please. This is sort of let's see, there we go. This is a typical DP World sort of bragging slide where we talk about the portfolio of assets, right, and our terminal assets. And I think this is how most of you know DP World. A vast amount of terminals, inland capabilities. On top of that, closing in on 100 million TEUs of capacity, and decades of experience leveraging this portfolio of assets, but first and foremost as individual assets. And this is really where the cue into sort of our future strategy lies. So if we jump to the next slide, is really an illustration of what we're trying to do, and also how digital plays into that strategy. We're trying to connect the portfolio of assets from being sort of a focus of leveraging 30 or 40 year concessions of terminals into building solutions where two or multiple assets come together and offer a supply chain solution to forwarders as well as cargo owners. So this is really what's at stake at DP World, and what is being discussed in the hallways pretty much on any floor in headquarters today. So if we jump slide again, then why are we thinking that digital matters as part of this integration strategy? Well, first and foremost, there's a cargo owner angle. So the whole end-to-end offering needs to be enabled by digital. That goes both in terms of integrating the assets, making sure that they play together in coherent ways that form solutions to cargo owners, but also in terms of visibility, basically bringing down inventory costs, making sure that there are contingencies when the Suez Channel closes or whatever. You need to have, let's say, that visibility of the supply chain, and you need to have a multiple legs, multimodal we call it, to stand on in order to plan ahead. Then secondly, the online channels. We're really seeing that a growing amount of the containerized cargo moving from port A to port B is driven by online channels. We're seeing marketplaces, price comparisons, digital platforms that increasingly control volume share. And if you're not present on these online channels, you're missing out on a fairly big amount of the market potential out there. And then finally, economies of scale. We've seen this industry of containerized logistics consolidate heavily in the past 10 or 20 years, with alliances formed, carriers integrating their value proposition to landside logistics and so forth. And we really believe that digital is a way to level the playing field and allow even small and medium-sized enterprises access to technology that is otherwise reserved for large enterprises. So that's why DP World, as a big player within terminal operations, is investing heavily in digital applications, and not just for in-house purposes, but actually as a means to connect with forwarders and cargo owners equally. Next slide, please. So if we look a little bit at how digital matters to DP World, we basically have three core business units today, or business functions. We have the terminals and logistics part. It's extremely asset heavy. It's what the company has been known for the past 50 years. But still it has a digital play to it. Then we have the multimodal offering. This is really the next frontier, where I'm sure you have followed our recent acquisitions in various feeder companies, both in Southeast Asia as well as in the Gulf and Europe. So this is kind of the first step where we're trying to connect the various terminals and the various assets with multimodal offerings, basically making sure that gateway ports are connected well to outports and so forth, and similarly to inland depots. And then finally, you have sort of the new logistics bet, which is end-to-end logistics, where we're really seeing that taking terminals together with the multimodal connectivity really provides the platform for an end-to-end logistics offering. If we then click one time here, Rosita, then in terms of what are the digital plays, so perhaps for terminals and logistics, it's slightly less profound, but nevertheless, we have a number of initiatives linking to an ambition of autonomous terminals, a little bit linking back to what Andrew spoke to. We have a Hyperloop investment in basically removing congestion from the sea-based terminals, and we also have Box Bay, which is designed to increase efficiency in terminal operations. Then, secondly, if we move to multimodal, we have a number of digital bets that basically build on top of connectivity. We call them trade enablers. So for instance, we have Cargo's Finance, which is really a value proposition designed to forwarders and cargo owners to finance trade in deals that you would otherwise not be able to pursue simply because of size. This is where DP World enjoys let's say, relationships with a number of banking institutions here in the UAE. Then secondly, we have the DF Alliance. I'm sure most of you are aware of that by now. But this is really an alliance where we're trying not just to provide a traditional, let's say, membership platform where forwarders can connect in order to access capabilities and assets on the other end of a trade lane, but also represents a suite of software applications and marketplaces that will basically designed to level this playing field we talked about before. We also have part of the World Logistics Passport, which is more of a how to say a government or even a federal initiative, which is really designed to lower trading barriers and encourage growth in trade amongst asset players and with cargo owners in various parts of the membership network. So you will see a number of countries signing up to the World Logistics Passport and basically committing to lowering trading barriers and customs and so forth for other members of this network. Then in terms of logistics, this is where digital becomes perhaps even more profound, because all of a sudden it's no more a question solely on controlling your own assets. It's much more about, let's say, integrating and accessing assets both in-house, but perhaps even more so with third-party logistics providers. So here we again have a number of bets. We are talking Sea Rates, which is really a marketplace designed for easily sourcing spot cargo, as well as cargos.com, which is a whole software suite for enterprise customers, giving visibility to cargo, managing easy and automated bookings and invoicing and so forth. So the illustration here is a little bit that logistics is actually where the digital part becomes increasingly profound. And then finally, you have a whole new bet of DP World, where you can say effectively, if you just click Rosita, please, where we become effectively the cargo owner ourselves. So we're basically forming a number of e-commerce platforms designed to open up trade from Africa and Asia, and giving those exporters access to markets that they have otherwise not had. So this is a portfolio of digital bets that you can say complement the traditional sort of asset play of the DP World business model. If we then move to next slide. When you think about this as an integrated value proposition, you will see that actually we're now playing on two horses, so to speak. The traditional assets, where we're trying to integrate pre-carriage and on-carriage capabilities on top of our terminal assets, basically forming an end-to-end logistics offering, at least for containers, where we control the maximum number of assets. But we're building on top of that digital features and digital services that will provide a more coherent and sort of timely value proposition, including marketplaces to basically have vendors and customers meet, end-to-end visibility, where not just our own assets, but also the assets of third-party companies become visible, and you will be able to track cargo seamlessly across third-party assets. And then finally, a whole range of sort of trade enablers designed to grow trade among the members, but also to reduce trade barriers equally. So if we move to the final slide, a few examples of how you can partner with DP World on digital. Firstly, we see that our software suite of applications is really a way to build services and also to differentiate services on top of your traditional value proposition, services that would typically require heavy investment if you had to build them yourselves. Secondly, there's the ability to list and promote rates and trade lanes where you're active in, and also to receive sales leads on crates.com. Basically, we have a whole sales team working directly with BCOs, but passing on the leads of those requirements or spot requests to members of the DFA community. And then finally, there's the sort of the acceleration of sales growth, where a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises are restricted in terms of the size of deals that they can pursue because of finance. And here we're really trying to exploit our position in the financial institutions landscape in UAE in order to level the playing field, so to speak, and allow access of trade finance to partners. So this was my introduction, Steve. Thanks so much for having me speak today.